Get a very special discount from today's sponsor at nordvpn.com/forge. Welcome back. In the last episode of the KATAR, I went ahead and just cut the blade off with an angle grinder. Oh, I don't know if that was the right call. And it was very scary. So I hope I made the right choice. And today I'm going to start by making a tool to be able to punch the cross-section of the blade into the future handle bolster. But the mistake I made is I tried to grind that tool out of our lovely bit of Damascus with a flat platen, not with a radius platen. And so it's much too thin. It's not going to work for punching the cross-section of the blade. And so last night, I did... Oh, crap, it might not be set. I got this little plastic tub. Oh, this is not going to work very well. The idea is I'd get the cross-section of my blade by pouring a load of silicone into this plastic tub around the blade, and then I'd be able to know the cross-section of it.
Right, can I just get this straight? You had the idea last night at like midnight to just fill that up with just regular silicone out of a silicone gun, right?
Yep.
And just jam that in there.
Yes.
And you thought it wasn't going to just stick to the blade?
Yes. The only thing you didn't get right, well, I put oil on it so that it hopefully wouldn't stick. The only thing you didn't get right is it wasn't at midnight, it was at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, so you need to draw around that, but obviously it's not flat.
Exactly, so I can't draw around it.
That's what makes it difficult.
I could measure it, and because I'm using a radius platen, that would probably be fine, so I'll just measure it. So I chucked this bit of 4340 steel in the bandsaw so we can make our tool. We got one slice down there. I'm gonna cut it off with the angle grinder and then put some Dagger on it. It's not bloody wide enough.
So what are you going to do?
Forge it.
You're going to forge it and flatten it out?
Yeah. I didn't trim down the end, so it's too long now, Jamie. I'm a silly banana.
You know how you're allergic to eggs?
Yeah.
Would you rather have to drink a raw egg or drink a cup of dog saliva?
Drink a cup of dog saliva.
Really?
Yes, I would not drink a cup of raw egg. I am so freaked out by eggs.
You could just, if you were allergic, you could just do your jab.
Yeah, but like eggs are disgusting. I think eggs are more disgusting than dog spit. If I have dog spit on me, I'm like, cool. If I have egg on me, I'm like, I'm dying.
What, but you'd rather ingest dog spit than an egg?
Yes!
You are mental. All right. Instead of egg, it's a cup of blended fish.
Oh, God! Right, so I've got it scribed up, ready to start grinding this cross-section. Well, I don't know how I'm going to hold it. I might need to weld something on. How will I do this? It's an option. To be able to make sure this weld is strong, it's going to help if I can preheat it. So we've got it tacked, it's stuck, we're going to warm it up and weld it hot. It didn't need to be quite this hot. So I now have this tool made, which is all well and good. It makes me feel like I'm making progress. But am I really? Because now I've got to do the thing that's most difficult for me, which is planning the next steps. So let's refresh our memory here and go to the whiteboard. So as we hopefully now understand, the tool that we made makes the recess for the blade in what we're calling the handle bolster. Now let's add another bit of terminology, and then let's call these protrusions the arm straps. Now in the KATARs that we look at, the historical examples, it doesn't particularly look like there is a join between the handle bolster and the arm straps. And without having any to physically look at and know how they were made, I don't know how they were made. There's a few possible options in my mind. Option number one is one bit of metal that is continuous and goes the whole way around. And that is going to be quite the technical challenge to do, because we've got to punch this in and get these bends and have them maintain the final form that we want It's gonna be a challenge. I don't think it's impossible though. So my other ideas for how it could have been manufactured is the handle bolster is actually a separate piece to the arm straps. Now, if it was a separate piece, how could it be attached? It could be soldered, brazed, it could be, in modern day techniques, TIG welded or MIG welded. It could maybe have a tenon that comes through and then forms a blind rivet. I basically just don't know what the actual method was, and two, I don't know what the best method is going to be for me. Let's sketch out my ideas. Arms that go here, big block of steel, across to like this. There's a lot of stress here, stress there. How would I make that sharp without the stress? Then I bend these around, then that's better. Oh, the drawing disappeared. All right, got a plan. Let's cut some steel and light the forge. So here's the plan. Within here, we are going to have our handle bolster. So the blade is going to be poked into that. But in order to make the actual straps, we're going to go ahead and isolate and forge out the straps, leaving this protruding, enabling us to punch in the blade cross section with our handy new tool and then bend the straps over, hopefully making it.
Bloody stand still, for crying out loud.
I am nervous about this working or not. Ah, for goodness sake! This is not good. My power hammer die has broken. Yay! I'm so happy. My day consisted of 10 minutes of work and several hours of fixing my laziness. Because if I hadn't have made quick and dirty dies, but I had made proper nice dies, I wouldn't have this issue. This is a lesson that I will never learn from. This first forging step is done. We're going to do a little bit of grinding, but before we do that, I want to talk a little more about the history of the KATAR. It's rumored that the KATAR, at certain points in time, was even used to hunt tigers. One can imagine the scene now, a tiger out in the wild, enjoying all of the bounty and glory of nature, when all of a sudden a savage hunter appears, hunting it merely for sport. Little did he know, the tiger was quite the formidable foe, and sometimes it didn't end so well. So I took it to the grinder for two reasons. Number one, the cross-section of this whole thing was slightly rhombused. A rhombus is a square with unequal angles. It's tipped over, and the more you hammer it, the more it tips over. If I was to have a rhombus while we try and punch this in, it's going to be punched in all skew-width at an angle. So I ground it square, and then I use a small wheel attachment to put a really nice big radius in here, make sure it's super smooth, because we've got to do a very aggressive bend. With that, it can go back in the fire, we can clean it up, true it up, and then get this bad boy punched in there.
So, is it time now to punch the thing?
Yeah. Next heat, we're punching it. So
Are you worried?
lay out center.
You worried?
I'm terrified.
Don't mess it up, mate.
No, because especially this punch is probably going to be broken and destroyed after punching it. Immediately after punching it, it's going to be screwed. So thin on the edges, it's straight in cross section. This thing's going to be knackered in 10 minutes.
Click it then, what's the matter with you?
It won't click, it's broken. Put together a little bit of coke dust because we can use this as a little lubricant. It'll go in the hole, and it'll hopefully help lubricate the punch.
I've never seen it black before.
It's coke dust, just normal.
Good luck!
Thank you, Jamie, I need it. Oh, it's already taking on some damage. The other tips are bent. The tool is already bending out of square. It doesn't necessarily look quite as crispy and clean as I'd like, but it may get better lower down because that initial drag in there might well get ground away as we finish this into its final profile. I'm now going to straighten that little bow that the punching has caused. Then I'm going to draw these arms out to 300 millimeters long or 12 inches long before we get to bending, and yeah, it's kind of a lot of time to put into something when you don't know if it's going to work.
Starting to panic!
Yep, starting to panic. The piece that we just punched bent, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen. Probably should have done this with the propane torch so I could have kept the heats isolated. So I let it cool down nice and slowly in the forge. We now need to go to the grinder and cut in the profile and see that the hole looks good. Those grinders will arrive to you before Christmas if you order before December 10th. So please go do that. But when you're on the internet, it's super important to stay safe, which is why it's oh so important to use NordVPN, today's sponsor. One of the cybersecurity threats that you can be exposed to is malvertising. You go to an unknown website, you accidentally click an advert posing as a legitimate one, which takes your information and then sends you back malware to infect your device. One of the ways you can help avoid these attacks is by using NordVPN's threat protection ad blocker, which not only is going to help keep you safe, but also make your internet experience a little bit more pleasurable. Nord has a ton of features to make your internet experience safer, but at the root of it, it is a virtual private network. So it encrypts the data between you and their servers, making sure that nobody can get in and find your information. They have a strict no logs policy. Using it isn't going to affect your internet speed, and one account works for 6 devices. Because you can choose the server you connect to, you can choose the country you connect to and access streaming content that you wouldn't necessarily be able to access in your country. You get to experience the truly worldwide internet. So please go to nordvpn.com/forge for a massive discount on a 2-year plan, as well as 4 additional months for free. That's nordvpn.com/forge. Links down below. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.